Yahweh Shemel Shah, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
Because all the blessings that we're going to get, which is entailing the kingdom of heaven, Isaiah the 60th chapter, I'm going to start at the 10th verse and read on down. It says, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. So the sons of strangers, that's talking about the actual strangers, the other nations, shall build up thy walls. We're going to have them in slavery. So they're going to be building the kingdom of heaven, because we're not building nothing. We're not lifting a hand to move nothing. It says, for in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles. That's talking about the actual Gentiles. We're going to take all of their substance, and that their kings may be brought.
And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Verse 13. And the glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, the box together to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. So the land of Israel, the land of Jerusalem, is going to be made glorious. It's going to be made glorious once again. The kingdom is going to be built up. We had a taste of that during the time of Solomon's reign, which was for about 40 years. Verse 14. The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet. And they shall call thee the city of the Lord. The word Zion means monument, the monument of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shall suck the breasts of kings, meaning we're going to take all their substance. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord thy power, the Lord and thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring thee gold, and for iron I will bring thee silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. And I will make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee, but the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and the power thy glory. The sun shall no more go down, meaning our kingdom is not going to go down. In other words, once we get back in power, we're going to be in power forever. The sun is never going to go down on our kingdom again. The sun is never going to set on our kingdom. We're going to always shine, and we're going to always be in that glory once we get into the kingdom of heaven. There's no more going back into slavery under the other nations. Esau's not going to rise back up and put us in captivity. Ham, Japheth, Ishmael, none of the other nations are going to rise up and take us down ever again. When we get on top this time, we're going to remain on top. Neither shall thy moon withdraw itself, for the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. So no more mourning, no more crying, no more vexation of spirit, no more weeping, no more hopelessness because of the condition that we're in as Israelites right now. Verse 21, thy people also shall be all righteous, they shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. Verse 22, a little one shall become 1,000. This is in the kingdom. So what is this talking about? We're going to have sex. Again, like I said, the 2/3 that are going to pass in this destruction, the The 2/3 are going to come back through the 1/3 that make it. The Lord said, 2/3 shall be cut off and die, and the third will I bring through the fire. It says, a little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakwadash, and do my honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to each other brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right. So going into this morning, news and prophecy, all eyes on, Iran, because we know, all right, Iran is one of the the linchpins, okay, of prophecy, okay, because how the West, goes about, dealing with Iran, has major implications on the line. All right, the stakes are high when we get to talking about Iran. Okay, all this talk about Venezuela and Greenland and Cuba and all that, they're just child's play. Okay, they're just the devil, throwing his weight around and bullying, weaker nations. Okay, but when it comes to these devils, all right, and what they intend to do with Iran, that's when we get, all right, that's what, as they say in the world, that's when the rubber meets the road. Okay, that's when prophecy are really going to have some traction. Okay, when these devils really, go full blown with Iran. Okay, now what we're seeing is Western media is hyping up, the civil unrest. Okay, that's in Iran. All right, and we have to understand that when you watch Western media, that is heavily exaggerated and biased towards the agenda of the West. Okay, so we're going to go into some videos to show that dealing with the protests, and hopefully this ultimately what we're seeing, okay, is they're softening up the minds of the Americans to look like, so they can look like the hero when they go and do what they're going to do with Iran. Okay, when they attack Iran. Okay, and we seeing the same formula with Venezuela, for months. They've been blowing up boats, pushing, the narco terrorism, okay, narrative. They did that for months, and then they went with their move. Okay, so now they're doing the same formula in phase one, which is propaganda. Okay, to demonize, the Iranian government. Okay, and make it seem as if the American government is the humanitarian, all right, the civilized one, okay, in the matter, okay, as if the Iranian government are barbarians, and the American government are coming to civilize, okay, the barbaric Iranian government, okay, and they've been running that same place since European colonialism. Okay, when you go into the doctrine of discovery, the Spanish requirement, when you look into those things, these devils justify themselves taking what they want, all right, conquering people, enslaving people based off, all right, Europe was superior, Europeans were superior, these European Edomites were superior to everyone else. So it was the duty of the superior European Edomite to civilize everyone else. That was their duty. They was bound by duties to do that. Okay, to justify their wickedness, man. Okay, so this is nothing but modern colonialism. Okay, in this new era, man. All right, as me and the beloved, brother Captain Uwatazat from down in GMS base St. Louis. All right, down in Mississippi Gulf Coast. We went into it yesterday. America is returning to their empire because they have an emperor in office, man. So it only makes sense. Okay, but let's get a few precepts, and I got a few videos I want to get into, just so we can get a boots on the ground perspective, okay, of what's happening over there in Iran and what is telegraphing, dealing with how the West, mainly America and the small hats, because those are the two culprits right now. Those are the two, all right, maniacs that's on the loose. All right, the Israeli state, okay, and the American government are the two maniacs that are just on the loose, okay, doing what the hell they want to do in the earth, man. Okay, now let's go here real quick to the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2. All right, in verse 1. Okay, it's the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 1. It said, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he shall say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. Okay, so the Lord has set his men on the tower. Okay, and you have all these different men on the tower, and everyone's not in the same spot on the tower. Everyone's not on the same level of the tower. Okay, because you got all these different viewpoints, when it comes to prophecy, man. Okay, so certain brothers, all right, they're gonna have a slightly different angle, certain different perspective, but they're looking at the same thing, which is the prophecies of Yahweh Bashim al Shai, all right, happen in real time. Okay, we're all watching the same thing, with different viewpoints. Okay, so the Lord has set up his watchmen, and how does the Lord speak to those watchmen? By causing these events to happen. These things are happening. That's the Lord speaking to his watchmen and letting us know where we at, what time we in. Okay, this is the time we in. We in the time, all right, the war preparations, man. Okay, we know that the MOTB has to come before this third world war. This third world war goes nuclear. Okay, but that doesn't mean that until the MOTB is made mandatory, that war preparations are on pause. Okay, the Lord is moving pieces in place. Okay, for this war, man. Okay, as we're going to get into. All right, he's establishing alliances. Okay, he's arming these nations. These nations are being armed every day that goes by. These nations are stockpiling for this third world war. Okay, just because we don't see it, we can't physically see. We don't have a camera to look at these nations manufacturing these weapons, okay, and stockpiling them for war. Well, it's happening. Okay, certain trade routes are being made, tunnels on the ground. It's nothing but war preparation that's happening, man. But we don't see it with the naked eye, but we know prophetically that these things, all right, are in preparation. Habakkuk 2:2 says, "And the Lord, Yahweh Bashim al Shai, answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables, that they may run that readeth it." Okay, so the visions that our forefathers, will receive, and they will write down, they will describe to the best of their ability. Okay, well, we're able to see these things with more clarity. Okay, we're able to see these things with more clarity because now all the technology exists that they spoke about, man. They explained it according to, the technology of their time. Okay, but now we clearly understand what they were referring to. Okay, the scroll, rolled in the clouds, the mushroom clouds, man. Okay, a mushroom cloud was something that wasn't seen during the time that these prophets, got these visions. Okay, But now we know exactly what they was talking about. So we're able to run. You know, when you run with it, you know, it's urgent. Okay. So now we have this message and it's of urgency. Okay. To go into these things. Verse 3 says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry, man. You know, so all these prophecies have an appointed time. Okay. And all of them, okay, because there's we seeing preparation for war. We're also seeing what preparations to switch over to the digital system. Okay. So everything has its appointed time, and all the pieces are being put in place. Okay, for these things to be fulfilled in their appointed time. And this is what we're watching, man. Okay. Now, let's go here. I want to go to this video first. All right, because what's going to be the headlines? The main three nations, okay, that the West, all right, that's against the West is Russia, China, and Iran. Okay, that alliance is a powerhouse. Okay, that the Lord is preparing to come against the West. Okay, so what we're seeing with these protests in Iran, let's go here. Let's play this. Okay. So he's going to go into what's happening. You know, like I say, more boots on the ground perspective. All right, because in the West, you know, you're going to get exaggerated news. You know, you're going to get a lot of fake news. You know, it's already been reports that they're showing, you know, protests in LA and saying that this is happening in Iran. They're showing old footage of different protests, you know, and saying that this Iran, you know, which is going down. All right, because those Mossad, which is the Israeli, okay, secret, all right, intelligence, okay, agency, and then you got the CIA, which is America Intelligence Agency, okay, they, you know, specialize, all right, in causing civil unrest to topple regimes, okay, so they're fanning the flames, okay, of these protests. All right. And as you listen to this, there's no doubt about it. Okay. That they're over there causing damage. You see? And this is all for the consumption of Western media. Okay. So just as Trump looked like a hero when he went and got Maduro, they want the same effect when they make their move on Iran. Okay. They want their hero effect. Okay. They want to boast themselves as a savior. Okay, when they go do wickedness, man. You see, but it's gonna be interesting what they try to pull, because it's gonna be different when they move on Iran, man. Okay, because now we dealing with prophecy. Okay, we got direct prophecy that tells us how this gonna play out. So let's play this and we'll jump around a little bit just to get some info of what's going on over with those protests.
Happy New Year to every Iranian in the streets, also to every Mossad agent walking beside them. Folks, that is the former director of the CIA, the former Secretary of State, admitting that Mossad is in the streets protesting and escalating the situation in Iran. Russia has allegedly reportedly supplied nuclear-capable Iskander missiles to Iran. There's been a lot of these Russian military cargo jets, the Ilyushin 76s, landing in Tehran and Isfahan over the past 2 weeks. In my 2026 prediction video, we seem to have already...
So Russia, just like we said, okay, Russia is being the guard. Okay, this is prophecy, man. Russia is being the guard. And the first nation, okay, that it lists is who? Persia, Iran. Okay, so Russia is giving Iran hypersonic missiles, man. Okay, you have to be crazy if you think Russia, okay, ain't stockpiling nuclear weapons in Iran. Because this finna go down. Because Russia, in their mind, they finna have to go against NATO, EU, and America, man. Okay. So Iran plays a heavy strategic role, okay, in this war against the West, man. Okay. Russia know that they finna have to shoot it out with the whole continent, man. You see? So you best believe they scrapping Iran down, man. Okay. And those small hats don't want to see a picture of Iran. Okay. Don't let Western media fool you like the small hats got the ups. Okay. It's a major disadvantage. It's a big gap between Iran and these small hats. If they just go head up, if you just let Iran and the small hats go head up, it will be a one-way war. Okay. The small hats will have to, all right, nuke. Okay. Iran. That will be the only thing they got. But conventional, all right, is a major disadvantage, man. Okay. And these small hats know that. That's why they got to go beg America every time. Okay, because if them small hats could deal with Iran by themselves, they would have been done it. Okay, one thing about Esau, if he got you, he don't wait. Okay, he didn't wait to go get Maduro. He knew he had that. He knew that was light work. Okay, so if these devils were able to handle Iran like they did Venezuela, they would have been did it. If the small hats was able to just dominate Iran, okay, without the help of the U.S., they would have been did it. They can't. Okay, well, I say Western media have these small heads hyped up. Okay, because they're just bullying these little terror groups over there. What they call terror groups or resistant groups. Okay, in their region. Okay, the small hats ain't fought nobody. Okay, and all the times they did go to war, they had the whole, all right, they had the EU and America behind them. Okay, when they would go against Egypt and Jordan and Syria. Okay, when the small heads they ain't got no hell of a record over there, man. Okay, so let's I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. All right, just deal with the protests.
Providing people with the justification to take target at certain institutions or plotting escalatory terrorist measures in Iran amidst these protests and turning them into from peaceful escalate the situation. They began to provide scripts to people in the streets to scream out on video certain words. He has tried to deal with some of these issues.
Trying to get to this certain part. I think it's here. So what you have the president in Iran, like, look, because he understands that, there is inflation, largely part due to the sanctions, that America has had on Iran, for decades. All right. And then largely part, and also due to the part too that this new president of Iran, he mishandled, some decisions, that cause inflation as well. Okay. And he's taking ownership for that. Okay. So now you have the Iranian president trying to do things to quell, and give some type of relief, okay, economically, all right, to the Iranian people. Okay, but as he's doing it, these protests are escalating and becoming violent. And not only are they becoming violent, they're becoming organized when they make these certain attacks on certain infrastructure. Because now they're starting to attack infrastructure in Iran, which lets you know, okay, that this is orchestrated by the West. Okay, so let's play.
For his words. So he has tried to deal with some of these issues. But as people began to see that these protests were taking place, Mossad began to escalate the situation. They began to provide scripts to people in the streets to scream out on video certain words, certain phrases, to do certain things like putting Trump's name on street signs, to begin plotting escalatory terrorist measures in Iran amidst these protests and turning them into from peaceful protests into violent protests. Providing people with the means to create these Molotov cocktails, providing people with the justification to take target at certain institutions or symbols in the country.
Okay, as a site builder you need to meet, this is Dope Tech from Wix. Now this whole flow is a conversation. So your words.
President Pezeshkian announced that they will hand over 70,000 free apartments to citizens over the next several months to try and fix some of the economic problems that people are facing. They also announced the creation of a stipend for Iranian citizens amidst the economic hardship. But still, the protests began to escalate further. So you have to ask the question, if the government is responding to these problems, admitting that they are responsible for these problems, and doing whatever they can to try and aid people who are suffering right now, why are the protests still escalating? Why are they taking a violent turn? Why are they now resulting in things like this, which over the last 24 hours, we saw the mayor of Tehran gave statistics on the damage caused by rioters in the capital. 2 hospitals and medical centers were attacked. So you're telling me that people who are suffering, starving, they don't have enough money, whatever it may be, that their first instinct is to attack hospitals? That sounds like an Israeli move. That sounds like exactly what Israel did in Gaza and in Lebanon and during the 12-day war against Iran. Economic infrastructure was targeted, including attacks on 26 banks. 25 mosques were also attacked and set on fire. Again, that sounds like an Israeli move, attacking mosques. The protest started off with people of all political stripes protesting against the economic issues. Now you have people attacking and trying to light on fire mosques. That's insane. All right, this is clearly a Mossad escalation of what were, in some ways, legitimate protests at the start. Besieged bases and police facilities were attacked. 48 fire trucks were set on fire. Rioters attacked the firefighters themselves who were coming to extinguish the fires. I also saw reported that several besieged members and several police officers, were also actually killed. Now, also, we know that protesters were killed. Okay? So this is where you start to have to ask questions, right? We saw Mike Pompeo tweet this out. The Iranian regime is in trouble. Bringing in mercenaries is its last bet hope. Riots in dozens of cities and the besieged under siege. Mashhad, Tehran, Zahedan, next stop, Baluchistan. 47 years of this regime. POTUS 47. Coincidence? Happy New Year to every Iranian in the streets. Also to every Mossad agent walking beside them. Folks, that is the former director of the CIA, the former Secretary of State, admitting that Mossad is in the streets protesting and escalating the situation in Iran.
So, and they're causing these things to happen. So, the small hats in America have, agents, provocateurs. All right, they have organized. All right, rioters. Okay, this how these devils play, man. They have these professional rioters. Okay, certain mercenaries. All right, because it's easy to get these people to sell out. Certain people to sell out. Certain Iranian terrorist groups that was against, that's against the government. Okay, well they've become operatives. Okay, for Western governments. Okay, they can just cut the check. All right, and make these people rich. So these people go, all right, and they do these things that we're seeing. You can tell that it's the West because they're targeting hospitals. Like like he said, it doesn't make sense for people that's complaining about inflations to attack their own infrastructure. Okay, to tear down their hospitals and then their mosque. This is a heavy Islamic. All right, this is what Iran is known as an Islamic Republic. All right, so that will be crazy. Okay, for Iran to burn down mosque. Okay, you see, so this just lets you know that the West is heavily, they have heavily infiltrated, you know, you know, within these protests. They're heavily embedded within these protests, man. All right. And they're doing this just so they can push it back to Western media, okay, to get the minds of the people prepared for what they want to do next, man. Okay. How soon, we'll see. But this is what they're prepping people's minds for, man. This could go on for months. Okay. And then they make a move. All right. It can go on for weeks. They make a move. We'll see. Okay. But we have to understand that the West it's the same formula everywhere they go. We just seen this play in Venezuela. Now they're running the play on Iran. All right. Now how they deal with Iran, they know they can't deal with Iran like they did Venezuela. Completely different. Okay. So we're going to see. All right. So let's go here. And like he said, play a few minutes of this. Let's see.
The game, Iran remain united. Well, we're going to be talking about that in 1 second because there are some other positive developments. Russia has allegedly reportedly supplied nuclear-capable Iskander missiles to Iran. There's been a lot of these Russian military cargo jets, the Ilyushin 76s, landing in Tehran and Isfahan over the past 2 weeks. And a lot of people have been wondering what's in those jets. Is it Su-35s? What's going on? There's been no indication that it's Su-35s. Something like this, Iskanders, would make sense. It would make sense. And we've seen video which indicates that, yes, they have been deployed. Ayatollah.
So, yeah, man, like we've been saying, all right, ever since the end of the 12-day war, okay, China and Russia, mainly Russia, have just been pouring all type of weaponry, okay, into Iran, okay? And what we're going to see, okay, like I say, is Iran, China, and Russia are going to be at the focal point of all American propaganda, because America is real predictable, from their propaganda, even to their war strategy. They cause civil unrest, they push the propaganda, okay, and then they start this dialogue on the internet through social media, okay, that they're going to intervene to save the citizens from the dictator, and then they go with their strike. All right, they go with their move. All right, they go to their heroic rescue of the citizens, man. Okay, it's the same formula. Okay, so let's go here. Look at my guy Pepe. Okay, so this is from George Galloway. He's pretty. He has pretty good content. All right, the mother of all talk shows, Moats. That's the name of his channel. I put the link. He's pretty good to follow. He had pretty good guests on. Speaking of geopolitics. So put this up here. And the brother could post that and get a few precepts on the comment board. Let's get Ezekiel 38 and 4. I want to say. Ezekiel 38 verses 4 and 5. Okay. And then also let's get let's say Isaiah chapter let's get Isaiah 21. Yeah, let's get Isaiah 21 and 2. Bible shop. Yeah, Isaiah 21 and 2. So let's let this play. He's gonna give an update, what's going on as well. All right. So let's play this.
Pepe Escobar, to call him a man of the world would be a severe understatement. He's traveled the world more times than he probably likes to count, and he's an expert in all theaters. That's why he was the obvious guest for tonight. Pepe Escobar, welcome back to the mother of all talk shows. I tried to cram the multiple international crises that are currently in play into a 20-minute monologue and failed miserably. I think I even missed some of the crises, let alone dealt with the ones I did get to in the detail I would have liked to. I suppose we ought to start with Iran, because it seems that following a color revolution attempt, which has so miserably failed, they're having to put up footage of Paris and Los Angeles pretending it's Tehran. They have decided that unless they intervene, the Shah of Persia, who I don't think has ever been in Iran, if he has, he was a small child when he was, will not be returning anytime soon. Are you expecting fireworks soon on the global level with Iran?
Well, this is something we should be asking the leadership in Tehran, of course. And, of course, we talk to our friends in Tehran and in other parts of Iran. They all say Iran is ready, politically, geopolitically, and militarily, like they were not ready at the start of the 12-day war. Today, for instance, there were massive popular rallies in Yazd and in Isfahan, among other cities, supporting the government.
And that's what they're not going to show you, in the West. All right, these mass protests that support their government. Okay, because in the East, all right, they're not as simple. All right, as people over here in the West. All right, they fully understand. Okay, that the West is a source of a lot of their problems. Okay. And they know how the West gets down. See, they've been dealing with America with the mask off for decades. See, you American people, you're just now beginning to see your government operate with the mask off. Okay. These other nations, they've been dealing with, okay, the wickedness of America and its tactics, man. Okay. They understand the propaganda machine. Okay. So you have, mass protests that are with their government, and they know that this is time of war. Okay, because the Iranian people, they still want blood for Soleimani. So you already know, that it's the Mossad in the West. They paint Trump name on street signs in Iran. That's the West, man. Them agents. Okay, them Iranian people don't want no goddamn Trump. Okay. They're not looking at Trump as no savior, man. They know the wickedness of the West, man. Americans are the last people to find out how wicked their government is. Okay? Americans will be the last people to fully understand how wicked that their government is, man. Okay? So let's play this some more.
Tomorrow, there's going to be a nationwide rally in Iran supporting the government. Everybody knows who is provoking. It's the same old color revolution playbook. For instance, something that I saw with my own eyes in Hong Kong in 2019, attacking metro entrances, buses, public buildings. It's exactly the same playbook. Armed insurrectionists, as they are defined in the West, and of course people who are brought from outside of Iran, including ISIS-Daesh cells, which were actioned by the usual suspects all across Iran. So the playbook is the same. In terms of popular support, they have 95, 98% popular support, and they know who's instigating all that. The problem is, this is a very complex environment, under inflation, under economic mismanagement in many cases, under sanctions for over 40 years. So yes, when you see economic linked protests coming, our color revolution guys always, they launch the same procedure anywhere. It can be Kyrgyzstan, it can be Syria, it can be Iran. But it's not going to work this time because Iran is militarily ready to anything that may come up from the Zionist international axis. That's the major difference.
Well, Trump said today that he was considering missile strikes.
Yes.
The Iranian response, I don't know if they can, but it would likely not, in any case, be intercontinental. But Iran's response can be guaranteed. Where would that response most immediately fall, do you think?
All American bases in the Persian Gulf. There's no question about that. And that's why the Persian Gulf monarchies, as usual, they were scared to death. And this could go even further beyond the Persian Gulf. It could get to United States bases in some other points in Eurasia, because Iran, they have 2,000-kilometer range missiles capable of hitting anything around Iran. And by the way, of course, Iran is totally surrounded by American bases and not the other way around, as people in the West tend to think, right? So they're ready to do it. They have some other weapons in their arsenal, which they have not tested yet. And they already said it on the record, IRGC commanders, now we're going to use them. The last time we were in Iran a few months ago, they only showed some of the stuff they have. And after the 12-day war, they accelerated their testing of the stuff that we haven't seen yet.
So the Lord is putting it on these nations to go to war, man. I said, brother can get that as well. Time for war. All right, in the book of Ecclesiastes. Okay, like we always get. In the book of Proverbs 21:1. Okay, so what you had during that 12-day war, all right, Iran didn't go full body. They held some punches. They were using a lot of old missiles, and the small hats couldn't stop that. Okay, the most advanced, all right, American missile defense systems couldn't stop American old missiles. Couldn't stop Iranian old missiles, man. Okay, they got some new shit in their arsenal that they had that they didn't use, and they getting some new shit from Russia and China. Okay, see, it can't fall in the eyes. This I'm speaking from the perspective of Russia and China. Iran can't fall. Okay, Iran is the number 3 when it comes to oil reserves in the earth. Okay, Venezuela can fall. All right, that's irrelevant. Okay, on the chessboard, Iran can't fall, and this is how Russia and China think. Okay, and the Lord got them thinking like that, so when this thing go full throttle, they gonna come on in, man. Okay, and they scrap Iran down to the T. Okay, and it's gonna be some new fireworks. Okay, so we're gonna see how these devils gonna play it, man. I'm excited to see what these devils gonna do when it comes to Iran, man. Okay, and he said the military bases, them American bases that's in the Persian Gulf, they're just sitting ducks. They have no defense, okay, for Iran's missile arsenal, man. They're just sitting ducks. All those troops in those, all them American troops that's in these Persian Gulf military bases, they're just sitting ducks. Okay, any of these aircraft carriers, okay, that's around the Persian Gulf, they're just sitting ducks, man. Okay, so man, it's gonna be interesting to see how the devil try to play this, man. Okay, this is the brother GMS Truth Abounds, Isaiah 21:2. It says, a grievous vision is declared unto me. The treacherous dealer treacherously, and the spoiler spoileth. Go up, O Elam, besiege, O Media, all the sign thereof I have made to cease. Okay, so the treacherous that dealeth treacherously is America, man, the West. Okay, and see, these nations are fed up with trying to deal with America, all right, with diplomacy. Okay, we're trying to make a deal. Okay, Russia, after they tried to assassinate Putin a couple weeks ago, ain't no more peace deals dealing with Ukraine. Okay, when they shot their hypersonic missile, their arsenic, all right, that was arsenic hypersonic missile. Okay, they made sure that it hit right there at the border of Poland, which is a NATO nation. You see, these nations talk to each other in these missile strikes. They don't just be trying to do a lot of destruction to people. They be talking to these governments. What Russia did, he just talked to NATO like, this what we keep playing, and this where we gonna go, man. You know, we tried to talk, okay? We tried the peace deal. We tried to deal with diplomacy. We tried to, come into trade agreements, and okay, but y'all try to, do this little assassination stunt, the little gimmick, okay? So Russia sent a hypersonic right there at the border of Poland, made sure it hit right there at the border, okay? And it got there in minutes. All right, that was making a statement to the NATO and the West, man. Like, look, we can do this to any European city we want, when we want, how much we want. Okay, I don't know how y'all think this is gonna go, but it ain't gonna go like that, man. Okay, so that's what the Russian government sending to Europe, sending a message to Europe. Okay, so now you got these small hats. They're trying to, bully Iran, but it's not gonna go like that. Okay, it's gonna be a lot of American casualties. All right, whenever these small hats in America wage a full war on Iran, it's gonna be a lot of American casualties in the Persian Gulf. Okay, and you're not gonna hear about it on Western media. Okay, so we people crying on TikTok. Okay, and then they're not gonna know about it until later on. Okay, that's how the West does, man. You see, so let's get this. Yep, it's the book of Sirach, chapter 3, verse 8, from the brother Remnant loyal to Yahweh. Says a time to leave. All right, it says a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace, man. We're in a time of war. Okay, so ever since the 12-day war, Iran has just been escalating. Okay, their war preparation, because they know it's gonna be another round. See, that was just round one. Them 12 days was a round one. Okay, and America had to come, all right, get their boy out of there, man. Had to get them small hats out of there, man. Okay, them small hats left for the bloody nose. Now they caught Iran off guard with their initial attack that they did on Iran. Okay, day one, but the next 11 days, okay, it was bad for the small hats. Israelis, they was getting some, they was hitting some places in, Tehran and certain areas. Okay, they was getting off too, but the back and forth, the small hats wasn't gonna be able to sustain that back and forth, man. Okay, they had to tap out. They had to go get America. Like, look, get these niggas off us, man. Okay, so let's go here. Proverbs 21:1. This is the brother of Tazwan, hope for lake 144. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. Okay, and the Most High got all these nations, especially these major players. Okay, within this third world war, He has all their heart, okay, in war mode. Everybody's in war mode because this is where we at, okay? So let's play this some more.
And considering that now they are ready, and they were not before the 12-day war in June, considering that now the integration of the system between all levels of the IRGC, the army, the supreme leader, everything is much more organic than it was 7-8 months ago. If I was the Neo Caligula, I would not try anything stupid, but he will, as we know, George, right?
And Israel, of course, cannot stay out of that. There are big demonstrations in Tel Aviv last night, demanding the resignation of Netanyahu, because they know that if a shooting war restarts, that Israel is the bullseye in the target.
Absolutely.
Not gonna hear about that. Okay, major protests in Tel Aviv for the resignation of Netanyahu. Okay, you're not gonna hear about that because those citizens in Tel Aviv know, they remember that 12-day war. Okay, and Tel Aviv was getting their ass hammered. Okay, so the citizens of Tel Aviv is doing the protest to get Netanyahu out of there because they know that nigga gonna go for it, man. Okay, he don't mind putting them in harm's way. Okay, the hell with them, you know, them small hats anyway, but just going into the facts of what's going on. The hell with Iran too. You know, these are all our enemies going to war with each other before Yahweh Shai returns, man. But we're just addressing the facts and what's really happening, man. Because Western media have you believe in something that ain't real. Okay, so we're just getting into the facts of it all, man. Okay, because all of them finna go into captivity. Okay, just to put that out there. All right, so yeah, they ain't gonna tell you about them protests in Tel Aviv to get Netanyahu out of there, man, because they know he's a madman, man. Okay, and he's gonna do something impulsive, and they gonna have to pay for that shit because he gonna be in the bunker somewhere. All right, or he might be, you know, he might not even be in the country. I think one time he went to Turkey, you know, when they was having this exchange between Iran and the small hats. This nigga had went to Turkey. This nigga had went to, you know, so this nigga might even be there. This nigga start a war because these Edomites are cowards, man. These leaders, okay, these leaders of these Edomites, man, these politicians, man, they're cowards, man. Okay, so they start these wars that they have to be nowhere near. Okay, so of course they're going to be quick to start these wars because they don't have to deal with the fallout. Okay,
and this remember the last time Israeli generals forced some very well-placed players in Tel Aviv to call the White House and beg Trump for get into the usual suspect third channels, usually Qatar, to beg the Iranians to stop, because after 12 days, they were starting to destroy downtown Tel Aviv. And this was just with some of their missiles. So you can imagine what's going to happen next. And now you hear this not only from IRGC general.
So basically, what he's saying is, look, because I said that last 12-day war, the small hats had to reach out to Trump. Trump had to call Qatar because America and Iran don't deal directly. Qatar is the mediator when they deal. So Trump had to call out to Qatar, all right, to reach out to Iran and say, look, you know, we pretty much what they did was wave the white flag, okay, behind the scenes. Okay, that's what the small hats did. They waved the white flag behind the scenes, all right, but they still want to look strong. So Trump let Qatar know that America was going to do, you know, an airstrike, all right, and then Iran let Qatar know, tell America, well, we're going to respond to y'all airstrike, and matter of fact, we're going to hit a base in Qatar. Okay, which they did. And then that ended the 12-day war. Okay. The small hats really went behind the scene and waved the white flag. That's how that ended. So what Pepe Escobar is saying is, if they weren't ready for Iran then, they for sure don't want to see this shit now. Okay? And what we have to understand, that Western hype, okay, that Western propaganda, there's a major difference between Iran and the small hats, man. Okay, when it comes to war capability, it's a major difference, man. It's a major gap. Okay, and Iran shows restraint because they know if they go full body with these small hats, they're gonna have to go to war with America. But it's getting to the point where the Lord putting them in a position to just say, F it, man. Damn them small hats, damn America, man. We just got that's what Iran is preparing for, a war with America. Okay, because they're gonna obliterate them small hats. They preparing for a shootout with America, man. This is what Iran is praying for. These little small hats, okay, that's gonna be light work. Okay, so now all eyes are on Iran and what they finna do. You know what these small hats finna do with Iran. What the West gonna try to do. Okay, so this is where all the attention is being focused now. Okay, so I think I got one more, but let's get some precepts. I see our brothers got some precepts. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Brother Azaria, GMS in the Truth Orlando. All right, Shalom Mott. It's Isaiah 42:13. It said, the Lord shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yeah, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies, man. And that's all these nations, man. Okay? Because Yahweh Shai is the headliner of World War III. Okay? As we go into these different players and, different scenarios and how, things could play out. One thing we know for sure, Yahweh Shai going to come and clear the board. Okay? He going to remove all the chess pieces, when he comes. All right? And he just, been holding this peace as it says in verse 14. Okay? So the Lord, Yahweh Shai just on the throne being riled up by this, man. Hey, if you're a great king, if you're a mighty king with power, man, hey, this gets you stirred up. All this war, conflicts, and and you understand that you far surpass, okay, the power of these heathens, man. So you gotta understand, like, Yahweh Shai can't wait. The scripture say, well, the day of vengeance burns in his heart. Okay, so we talk about, the players and the geopolitical moves, okay, but the headline is Yahweh Shai. Okay, brother can get there, Isaiah 63 and one through 3, So this Isaiah 42:14 says, I have a long time holding my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once, man. When Yahweh Shai show up, he just gonna come finalize everything. You see, these nations gonna be going back and forth. Okay, well, this is part of their judgment as well, for them to pummel on each other. Okay, so this is part of the judgment that the Lord has for the nations, for them to pummel on each other, man. Okay, because Russia, China, Iran, they're not gonna go unscathed. You see, it's gonna be they gonna get some they gonna take some headshots too, man. Okay, the West gonna do some damage to the East. Okay, the East gonna do some damage to the West. Okay, well, America gonna get the worst of it. You see, America gonna get the worst of it from beginning to end. Okay, from the first bullet to the last nuke. Okay, America gonna get the worst of it, man. Okay, because this is the judgment of the Lord. You see? So yeah, dude, we in some beautiful times. All right. Yeah, the brother got that Ezekiel 38:4, and it says, Mr. Brother Anah, GMS all in 144. Shalom. It's Ezekiel 38:4. It says, and I will turn thee. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. Okay. As we went into the other day, this is the Lord in full control. Okay, over Russia. Okay, it was Russia's a chief prince. Okay, to all these nations that have come under the banner of Russia. Okay, because these nations look at Russia as the leader of this charge against the West, and the Lord appointed Russia to be that. Okay, but in the same chapter, He said He's against Magog. Okay, because all these governments going to be put down. All right, we're just going into the build up to that. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and will bring thee forth in all thy army of horses and horsemen, and all them clothed with all sorts of armor. Okay, even a great company with bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords. Okay, so Russia is going to come forth. Okay, it's going to be a great invasion. Russia and their conglomerates, their alliances, man. And because those the two biggest militaries on the earth is Russia and China. Okay, the two biggest land masses is Russia and China. Okay, this is a major alliance that the Lord is mustering up a hell of a military to come against the West, man. Okay, and the West is gonna get pummeled. Okay, like I say, the East not gonna go unscathed. Okay, but the West gonna have the ups, man, because the Lord wants them to. All right before Yahushua comes and deals with everybody. Ezekiel 38:5 said, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Okay, those defense systems. Okay, with Russia specializes in these defense systems, man, to counter America's air superiority. Okay, America not gonna have air superiority in this war. Okay, them ships coming down. All right, them fighter jets coming down. Okay, you American Air Force pilots. All right, hey, a lot of your last sight. Okay, is gonna be that them S-400s and S-500s. Okay, tracking you down, man. Okay, and then if that don't get you, it's gonna be them chariots. If them S-400s and S-500s miss, them chariots ain't gonna miss. Okay, how Shai gonna come play cleanup. Okay, so let's go here. This is a remnant loyal to Yahushua, Isaiah 63:1. It says, who is that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength, I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Okay, and this is Yahushua. That's the who, because it poses a question: who is that coming from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? That's Yahushua. Okay, and this is Isaiah seeing the vision after the war. Okay, after Edom is taken down. Okay, because in the ancient world, when men would come from war, hey, they will be, their garments will be dyed in the blood of their enemies. Okay, you might leave, the green garment. When you come back, man, it will be dyed. It will look a different color because of the blood. Because you was in the trenches getting it in. Okay, which that ain't the type of warfare Yahushua is coming to wage, but it's symbolic. Okay, of a slaughter that was made in Edom. Okay, and when Yahushua and those chariots show up, okay, it's gonna be a slaughter in Edom and amongst these other heathens, man. But the focal point gonna be on Edom. Okay, America, NATO, the EU. Okay, this beast system. Okay, and Russia is not part of the beast system, but it's a lot of Edomites. Okay, and they're gonna get ran through. It says, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? I have trodden, all right, the wine press alone. Okay. You see? So Yahweh Shai gonna be getting busy himself, man. You know, I don't know if the brother put verse 3. Did the brother put verse 3? You know, it might be verse 4, Bible Shah. The brother put Isaiah 63 and 4. Okay. And also brother put Revelation 11, 14 and 15. So I want to play this, you know, just like a little bonus video because you know, we always gotta go to our guy Larry Johnson, man. Okay. Just a quick he did a quick sit down with Kim Iverson, which, you know, she don't know what's going on. All right. You know, she be trying to ask the question and answer it. Okay. And she's very optimistic, okay, about America surviving, okay, everything that we're seeing. Now it's over with for America, man. Okay. So I want to play this while brothers get those precepts, you know, because she asked Larry Johnson a question. You know, he's straightforward, man. You know. So let's play this real quick.
That's what the United States doesn't have. That's what Venezuela doesn't have. That's what China has that nobody else in the world possesses. That's the critical difference right there.
So how does this shake out? So let's say we go into a hot war. I mean, well, or maybe the war will look different. Maybe it won't be like World War I or World War II. I mean, even those two wars were different from each other. So what would this war look like? And who do you think the ultimate winners would be?
Well, I think the ultimate winners will be China and Russia. The United States will be defeated. You know, we've gotten away with bullying the world because we've been secure at home because nobody could reach us. Now China and Russia can reach us. But we've relied primarily on our Navy, aircraft carriers, to project force. Well, now with the emergence of hypersonic missiles, those are just big sitting ducks. They have no, as was demonstrated this year in the Red Sea with the Houthis. I mean, for God's sake, anybody want to argue that the Houthis are a first world military power? They're not. But they fought our U.S. Navy to a standstill where we had every military advantage over them. But they did have some hypersonic missiles, and they ultimately drove us out. So this, I hope, you know, boy, I hope I'm wrong. But
No, you're not wrong, my guy. All right. The only thing you're wrong about is the ultimate victor of this war, which is going to be Yahweh Shai. Okay. So let's go here. Just another from the brother Anah. All right. GMS all in 144. Isaiah 63 and 4. It said, "For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeem is come." Okay. So Yahweh Shai, you know, he can't wait to the Heavenly Father unleash him on all these militaries of the earth, man. Okay, because China and Russia, all right, they are going to destroy America, man. Okay, along with his other allies. All right, because like he said, for a long time, America has been unreachable. You know, it was allowed to, you know, project power, you know, throughout the world, but it was hard for the world to reach America because of its geographics. It's surrounded by those two big oceans. Okay. And then it has a major ally of Canada in the north. Okay. And it has control over, you know, America has a certain level of control over Central and South America. Okay. That's why America is so big about not letting, you know, major threats establish themselves in Central South America. Okay, so America has had the privilege, okay, of pretty much being out of reach for a long time. That ain't the case anymore. Now they're in reach, and not only in their reach, all right, their reach is hypersonic. You see? So no, these nations are not going to have to send troops to America. Okay, they're going to send the hypersonic missiles. Okay, they're gonna turn this bitch to the lake of fire. You see, those aircraft carriers, sitting ducks. See, we haven't seen this thing really go down. Like America is boasting. It's like, it's just like a layup drill. Like before the game start, America is bragging about what it's doing in the layup drill. Okay, or punching, hitting the punching bag. America, going against Venezuela, it's like hitting a punching bag. You're hitting something that can't hit back. Okay, because of course it's gonna look good. Okay, of course it's gonna look great. You're shooting at, you're at the shooting range and you're shooting the targets, and the targets don't shoot back. When this war really kicked off, man, America gonna be exposed of how far it's declined from that great power it once was. Okay, that's what we finna see. All right, and at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, Yahweh Shai is coming to dominate the earth in righteousness, man. So let's let's get this, get ready to close out. This is Revelation. This is a book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 14. Brother GMS all in, brother Anah. It said, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe coming quickly. This third world's war. All right, and this is going to be the war to end all wars, man. There will be no more wars after this, man. All right. Hey, the king is going to get off his throne one time, and that's it. Okay. And Yahweh Shai, he going to come from the right hand. Okay, he's going to bring his throne to the earth and judge in righteousness, and that's going to be it. Because Yahweh Shai going to finalize everything. Okay? What Russia got, what China got, none of this going to matter when Yahweh Shai hit the scene. Okay? The Lord's going to allow these nations to squabble amongst each other for a time, and then he's going to send Yahweh Shai to close this thing out. He gonna put the spirit on these nations and let off all these nukes. Okay, with the bulk of the nukes coming to America, turn to a lake of fire. Okay, Yahweh Shai's and the chariots gonna come add fire to America, man. Okay, and then these nations gonna be obliterated. Okay, so the winner of the third world war is Yahweh Shai. All right, Russia and China are just being tools used to embarrass America. Iran, certain other nations as well. Okay, they're going to be used to judge. Okay, the whore. Okay, but it's Yahweh Shai that's coming. Okay, as that judge to lay that final gavel down, man, to hit that gavel. Okay, with those chariots, man. Revelation 11 and 15. It says, and the seven angels sounded, there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, man. Okay, and his anointed. Okay, it says, and his anointed, his Amasiah. Okay, and he shall reign forever and ever. That's the end game. That's to sum up everything that we go into. Yahweh Shai is coming. Okay, and in the midst of this war, while these nations are destroying each other, okay, Yahweh Shai is going to come close this shit out. Okay, he's going to come and finalize the judgment of the Father. Okay, and he's going to be turning things to powder. He's going to turn these militaries to powder, man, literally, man. Okay, with that fire. So that's the point. Just wanted to get into that, because everything is focused on Iran right now. And we know that's the hotbed of prophecy. Okay, what they do over here in the Western Hemisphere, it's tied to, this third world war, because everything's connected. Okay, but the hotbed, the linchpin, all right, of this war going, this war escalating, okay, is going to be over here, all right, over there in Iran, all right, what they do with Iran. So, we'll see, we'll follow up on these things if need be, as these things, play out, so Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edify once again, and give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. Peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful. Shalom.